Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another chapter review for Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn. Yona of the Dawn, chapter 256, entitled The One Who Wishes to Live and the One Who Pleads to Die. So, any of you ever get that feeling where you thought you did something? You know, you texted back that friend, you read their message and you're sure you texted them back, or you're sure you filled out that paperwork or something like that. Any of you ever get that feeling? Yeah, because I thought I already reviewed this when the chapter came out. I swore I sat down and laid out my thoughts, and I can't even find the raw footage. Not only can I not find, okay, maybe I didn't make an official review, maybe I just kept the raw footage and never made the video and sent it to YouTube. No, nada. I got nothing, so I don't know what fever dream I was having, but this is very late because I thought I had already done it. I don't know how I missed it, how I thought I had already done it, but either way, let's jump into this one. So, right out of the gate, yeah, Zeno, buddy, one of my favorite characters. This whole requirement thing, and I've already talked about this on every review since that reveal. You made this. I think he has gone a little bit Joker-esque. I think he's gone a little psycho. I really do. Because this whole requirements thing, which I've been calling out as total bullshit, with no source credibility, is literally proven wrong here in this chapter. And then the dragon god the personal dragon god of Zeno comes out and says, "Ya done goofed, son. So, no. You were wrong. Get back in your body and do what we fucking told you." I mean, that's pretty much how that conversation goes down. We'll talk about it a little bit more in detail, but that's pretty much how that goes down, okay? And then Zeno has the balls, the nerve, to actually go. He wakes up, he's in the throne room, he's still, blood everywhere, chalice is full of blood and all that stuff. And he goes, so, I guess I'm still alive, and I filled out all the requirements, but I guess I was wrong. It's like, what requirements? Once again, this word requirements. You made this shit up. He didn't get it from a book. He didn't get it from a myth. He made up an extension of the poem in his own head that with just some ideas that, oh, the king sort of showed his sword to me and thought, and then he gave me that weird look, and so maybe that's what kills me, and if I put he made all these ideas up. None of this has any credibility, and it's proven in this chapter. So once again, I think he's actually on his quest just to, I want to be the traditional character who's too old, wants to die, yada, yada, yada. I still think that this is a bit of a plot hole problem, realistically, because it doesn't make sense for Zeno unless you're going to convince me that Zeno has been fooling himself into reading into signs that just weren't there. Because the sword thing can be explained by that flashback. Every other requirement that he created in his head, once again, no priest told him this, no ancient writing, no big wall sculpture, the Egyptian pharaohs from 5,000 years ago. There's nothing. There's no context. There's no script, no text, no nothing. No message in his head from the gods 1,000 years ago. None of it. So, this is all made up. And he's still complaining that he met the requirements, but he got it wrong or he's wrong. It's like, but these aren't requirements. You hoped this would work. You came up with this idea hoping it would work, thinking it would work, and you were wrong. There weren't requirements. You just thought, okay, I've tried to kill myself 9 different ways from Sunday. Let's try way number 10 today. You know what I mean? So, right out of the gate, I just wanted to sort of compartmentalize that here at the beginning of the video and say, yeah, this still doesn't really make a lot of sense. I do think that the writing is a little questionable, outside the manga itself. It doesn't make sense that Zeno, who has been doing this hundreds of years, thousands of years and stuff, and been trying every way from Sunday, and the man who's tried everything, has hoped to the 11th degree, cloud 9. He has put all his faith in these requirements that he basically made up in his head and went, okay, gotta be done before sundown. Like, by the time the sun rises, gotta capture all 3 dragons. Gotta wait until the Crimson Dragon King himself is born. And I gotta do it with the sword. Oh, and the shield. I've got, this is definitely the shield. I got that. I mean, I know him and his majesty. We just assume, but this is the shield. I'll capture the dragons. Gotta get their blood in there. I gotta cut my blood in there. Gotta do it with the sword. Like, he came up with a theory and treated it as fact. That's why I'm saying I think Zeno might have went a little nuts. Because the problem is we're not really seeing that he went nuts either. So that's why I have a problem with the writing direction here with this, is that he clearly created this prophecy all out of his own head with no actual proof that any of it's true or any of it worked, and it clearly didn't work. So, and then he's mad that it failed, as though he got this from a source, you know what I mean? So anyways, I just found that whole thing extremely jarring in one respect. I'm glad the chapter itself went okay, you know? So when we go back to the beginning of the chapter, you know, he's in this, like, alternate reality, this purgatory, if you will, you know? Between heaven and hell and all that stuff, right? So now he's like, yes, take me away, whether to heaven, whether to the bowels of the earth, I do not care, I just want it to be over. And then boom, he remembers, like, out of here, out of his blood comes, you know, the 4 dragon warriors. You are an extension of us, you must serve the Dragon King, never betray him, all this stuff, right? And so Zeno basically says, you know, these are the words I first heard, and he just goes, okay, dragon gods or something. He's like, oh, dragon gods, and then boom, thrust out of his chest an amalgamation of blood, and it's really cool. It's like this bloody dragon version, like it's all coming spewing out of Zeno's body, and it forms into the yellow dragon, the gold dragon, right? And he immediately goes, it came out of my blood and stuff. And this is where we see a little bit of that, his mind's having a little bit of a mental breakdown here, and this is the only instance we get of this, right? Where he's having a bit of that mental problem, and he's just like, wait a minute, you're telling me the gods that I was pleading with, begging with, you know, killing myself for all these years, all these decades and centuries and stuff, that I've been calling in vain all this time to help me, to, you know, plead with them, to beg them for anything, you were here inside my blood all along? Screw you. Like, he's just like, so you were listening the whole time and you did nothing, you know? And it sort of reminds me of, I think it was at the beginning of Dragon Age 3. Once again, huge Dragon Age fan, so kind of a tangent, not really. But suffice to say, there is a really badass line by maybe not the greatest villain in the series, but without spoilers or whatever, one of the main baddies, I don't think it was the DLC for Dragon Age 2. I think this line was in Dragon Age 3. But either way, they said, I broke into heaven. I went to the seat of God, and it was empty. You know, and it was like, and that just breaks the religious people completely, right? Sort of idea. So it's just like, okay. And there's a big catalyst for a lot of the game and stuff, right? From that standpoint. It's like, I went to, when the line is actually the maker. I was, you know, we broke through the gates of heaven. We went to where the seat of the maker is. And we found it empty. So everything's a lie. Everything's a, you know. So the same type of idea that Zeno's doing right here is the same idea. It's like, you've been here listening the whole time and didn't do anything. You never let me know you were there. Never let me, because if you've ever listened to religious people and know, once again, this isn't going to be a topic about like who's right and wrong and yada yada yada. But if you've ever listened to a lot of, at the very least, Christians and Protestants and Catholics and stuff, right? A lot of them will claim you just know he's there. Sort of in that very childlike innocence of like the Santa Claus movies and stuff. Like, kids don't need to know that Santa exists. They just know. They have that sixth sense. They have that feeling. A lot of people attribute this to faith in their faith, right? They're like, you know, God doesn't need to come down and tell me he's there to know he's watching over me and stuff. People, you know, it's faith, it's belief, it's all that stuff, right? And there's arguments for both sides, yada, yada, yada. But what Zeno's basically saying is that I never felt you there. I felt alone. You know, there was never a sign of her presence in these 1,000 years. And you were here the whole time. You you either were listening and didn't care, or didn't even care enough to listen. You know, so that's why he's just like, screw you. Fuck you, right? So I do get that 100% from Zeno's perspective here. Though I disagree with how he got to this point, I do think he's got every right to be pissed off, right? So this is where the dragon actually speaks to him and goes, you're not going to heaven, and you're not going to hell. You are staying right the fuck where you belong. And he's like, wait, what? You chose to... And that's when... So this is going to be the interesting part, and I want to hear your guys' theories on this. Is... Okay, so we go through this conversation and stuff because he claims you chose to break the vow of protecting the king. You chose to betray it. And he's like, no, that's not what I did. I am not betraying the Crimson Dragon King. So Zeno makes his case here and says, no, I waited. I did my job. The other Dragon King is here. We, the Dragon Warriors, have lived and died time and time again. You know, Yona is protected. Yeah, you know, so in my life, it's over now. Like, we did our job. Our lives are at their end. We've suffered enough, right? And the dragon just goes, no. Your life has not reached its end yet. And so it's like, and this is where we get a bit of the crazy eyes. We get a little of the lines around the eyes. Like, what? Are you kidding me right now? And he said, but His Majesty, his sword. And then the dragon seemingly goes back into his body as his blood form, and then he's pushed back into his mortal body. He's still, as I said, blood everywhere and stuff. He looks around. I'm not dead. Went out of my way to complete these requirements. That's why, once again, I've already complained about that, but yeah, this is the line that, once again, I went out of my way to complete these requirements, which you made up. You made up arbitrary requirements for your death with no basis, in fact. I'm sorry it didn't work for you, Zeno, but none of this made any sense from the get-go. Just saying. It was all guesswork, and the only one with any credibility whatsoever to even being a good hypothesis was the sword, because of that flashback. The whole 3 dragons in the chalice with the shields, why did that have to do with anything? You know, realistically. So, and he's just like mourning over the fact that he already said goodbye to everyone. He's already sort of betrayed everyone. The dragon called him out on it. And he said the Crimson Dragon Sword didn't kill me. I got it wrong and stuff. It's like, yeah, you got it wrong because you made up a way to die that, you know. So he's just like, so I can't backtrack. So there's nothing I can do. You know, I tried all I could to die. So he stands up and we hear, we see the sound effect for drip, drip. Drip, drip again. And it's enough for Zeno to notice. Then the next page, we see him. He looked down. Like, it could be towards his shoulder, like his arm, or it could be something on the floor. Here is the thing. It wouldn't, at first, my thought was, okay, because of the drip drip sound effects, it's like he's still bleeding. His wounds haven't recovered. He's been returned to life, but now he's mortal. That was my first instinct. Now I know how wrong that would be. Because... yes, we could play, and if we do the double trope, I swear to God, that might make me drop the whole damn series. If we do the double trope of the guy who was immortal, who wanted everything to die, and the moment he becomes mortal, then wants to live and turns evil, like, no, I don't want to die, and then is so afraid of death now that they actually have the opportunity to die. One of those, no. If you do the double, we did that in so many pieces of fiction. The latest one that I didn't like, that I saw, or the last one I saw, was Cain and Lucifer, the TV series. As much as I like that show, oh my god, Trope City with that, right? So, yeah. I don't think it's that for one good reason, is that, I mean, 2 actually. A, they're not going to pull the double trope with Zeno, right? So much writing potential, and they're really going to do the thing that 100,000 other writers have done? No. So, not going to do it twice to me, are you? So... that's one thing. The second reason is, why would the Dragon God said, your life didn't end. And no, it's not your time to die. You're going back. Sends him back just to 5 seconds later he wakes up. Oh, I'm not dead. Nothing worked. Oh shit. Oh, I'm bleeding. Wait, I can die. Picks up the sword, slit, done. Mission accomplished. So... yeah, no. My first instinct was that he's been returned to life, but now he's lost his powers, sort of idea. But I'm like, but then he gets his wish. Then he gets his way anyway. So what would be the point of the scene? What would be the point of any of this? So that's not the case, I'm thinking that the Dragon Warriors are there on the floor. I think jae-ha, Shina, and Kija are all there on the floor, heavily injured, bleeding, damaged because of his selfishness, because of what he's done, and now he's going to be like, help me, somebody help, and he's going to be beside himself like, I did this. So I did this all selfishly to save my own life, and now I have been the one to actually kill the Dragon Warriors. Something he's never done. He's never been the one to kill his brothers before. And now out of his selfishness, where he thought he was offering them reprieve, now they're going to be laying there dying, suffering, and he's not going to be able to help them. That's what I'm under the impression, because he's staring downwards at the floor-ish sort of area, right? So I think once he failed, the chalice released the blood, released the bodies, and they're laying there very, very heavily battered and beaten. And Yona's going to have to hopefully arrive in time and stuff, right? So anyways, that's the whole Zenos scene. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, I am hoping, hell and high water, I am praying. I'm not even religious, but I am praying to the dragon gods here to say, please don't make it. Please don't make Zeno the biggest immortal trope character of all time, and then give him the second most trope in all immortal characters in all of fiction of all time. Don't double down on that, please, for the love of all that is holy. Or unholy. I don't care what you're praying to. But something. Anything. So yeah. And then we move on to the second half of the chapter, which realistically I can summarize pretty quick and won't go over it that heavily, because honestly it's just Yon and Jodo and stuff like that. Everyone's surrounding Kisoka, everyone's surrounding like soo-won. How's soo-won doing? Of course, he's awake. He's doing very badly right now because, once again, could this be the Crimson Dragon illness? Is it because of the attack by Shinra? Is it a combination of both? Probably both. Either way, he's like, yeah, no. This is my last campaign. We're not going to retreat. I still don't actually understand this part, so we'll summarize it a little bit. But he basically is all for the, yeah, no, Kisoka, you know this is my last campaign. You know that there is no next campaign for me. I won't be returning. Like, we're going to push as far as I can to make Koka Kingdom as formidable and powerful as possible before I die, right? So Kisoka's like, yeah, like, there won't be a next time. He's like, I don't have the time. Even if I die right now on these grounds, I will have secured and done everything that I could, right? We need to take full control of the Kai Empire right here, right now. If we can do this, then I can safely leave it in Yona's hands. Of course, he says ruler. Kisoka said, what ruler? He goes, you know who I'm thinking of. You've thought of it too. Yona is destined for this. Like, and once again, to a degree, Yona wouldn't have been ready. So, once again, I don't think soo-won has future sight powers. You know what I mean? I don't think he got a vision or anything like that. Or maybe he was sent a vision by the dragon gods. Maybe. Of a burning Koka Kingdom and everybody dead or something. And that has been the driving force. He's claimed everything, but maybe the dragon gods did send him a vision that the Crimson Dragon King is back, but without an enemy to face, without hardship, without character development pretty much. She will die, she will fail, and Koka Kingdom will cease to exist. So maybe soo-won is actually supposed to be one of those, what is it called? But not a Machiavellian schemer, but like, he has to be the bad guy so that the thing is ready. It was done in Star Wars with Revan and shit like that, but he basically needs to be the opposition so that he could prep Yona. As harsh as it might seem, sort of idea. And maybe, once again, soo-won wasn't told all this, like, you're doing all this, you're just a puppet of the Dragon Gods, but he was shown this and realized he had to go into action. That if soo-won had done nothing, and Il had made Yona queen, given time and stuff, there wouldn't have been a kingdom left for her to become queen in. And or Yona, without being the spoiled brat that she was at the beginning of the series, without her gaining her strong character and development and stuff and all that, finding the Dragon Warriors and all this stuff and all the hardship she endured, then she wouldn't be the queen the kingdom needs, right? So a little bit, I'm stretching out a lot there, but it does seem to be a little bit of the case that that's a potential, that's why soo-won did everything. Because as by the looks of it, once again, once Il was gone pretty much, which, I mean, happened sooner rather than later, soo-won did have an answer. Hawk and Yona gave it to him. you marry Yona, you'll essentially be king, and I will be the darkness. I will be your bodyguard. I will be your wings. Sounds like a good deal to me. Soo-won would still be in the same position, basically, and not have betrayed Yona and Hawk, so I think there's more to it. I don't think it ever could have worked without Yona facing all the trials and tribulations she did. And I'm just curious, is that why Zeno had that weird look when he first saw Soo-won and stuff like that? It's like he's heard the voice of the gods or something. Like there's something about Soo-won that's odd, you know what I mean? So maybe. Anyways, that's just theorizing and speculation, but he's just like, he's so hell-bent on this. I have to keep moving forward, make sure the country's as secure as I can before I die. And so then he says, yeah, you're thinking of the same person, you're thinking of Yona, all that stuff. Then, so Rappa shows back up at the tent and basically gives a full report. Thankfully, it's just streamlined, and it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you a tale. And then we just see them all sitting there. Next page, it's like, wait, what did you say? So Zeno did all this? What's going on? Of course, Yona is beside himself and all that stuff. And Rappa was there watching everything happen. Though, doesn't seem to actually state, like, yeah, you know all those, like, super knights that were going to mentioned? Yeah, Hawk killed them all because they tried to kill him, so he butchered their ass. Once again, stupid idea to fuck with the Thunder Beast. Has no one learned anything? It's almost 300 chapters, and no one in this series has learned a goddamn thing. Do not fuck with the Thunder Beast. It's very simple. I don't care how badass you think you are, you're going to die. The Immortal himself went, it's like, Zeno, you can die. You can't die, so why are you... yeah, but he's scary. He's scary to fight. Like, this is a dude who gets his head chopped off. He said, yeah, I still don't want to fight him. He's kind of scary. So, 100%, right? Either way, that's sort of glossed over here. I didn't say anything. It was like, yeah, no, they're totally 100% dead. So anyways, this is where they said they were talking, and Rappa basically got the gist of the whole conversation and everything like that. So this is where Soo-won takes all this in. The dragon warriors are disappearing, all this stuff, and Soo-won's like, well, the castle can be replaced. I can be replaced and stuff. And we've managed without the dragon warriors all this time. And it will, like, our country will still carry on and stuff. He goes, but are the dragon warriors really dead? And he questions this and stuff. This is where Rappa reports, he goes, we don't know, but Princess Yona seems to be bound and determined to find them and that they're alive and stuff. So Soo-won thinks about this, takes a breather, and just says, let's retreat. And he finally slumps back. He's like, I'm done. And at first I'm like, okay, this is what I find odd. This is what I find a little odd, is that after all this, he finds out everything that happened, and he logically says, okay, well, we've survived this far without the Dragon Warriors' help. And we've done all these things, and yes, Yona, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, he was hell-bent on not retreating, and now it's like, let's retreat. And then Kisoka's like, so, wait, when I told you let's go back to the castle and stuff, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, but is that really okay? You said that, this would be like Kisoka's like, wait a minute, why are you changing your mind now, right? So, he's like, I gotta preserve my stamina, I'm leaving the rest to you and stuff. So, Yon stays behind to talk with Soo-won and just basically says, I just thought you wouldn't call for a retreat. Like, why did you do that sort of idea? And this is where Soo-won says, basically, I was a little too impatient, but talking helped cool my head. I don't buy that explanation. I don't buy it. He heard about Yona in distress, and the Dragon Warrior's gone. I don't see that how that affects his end goal exactly. So Yon actually asks and says, well, wait a minute. Were you actually worried about the Dragon Warriors? Is that why we're returning to the castle? To go help Yona in her quest? I mean, I could sort of see it, but that's like a thin line there, Soo-won, once again, has always said, like, if he had it his way, he would never have done what he did. Hawk would be his best friend. He'd be with Yona, and everything would have been fine, right? Like, once again, he said, you think I would risk everything for the sake of one girl's feelings, one friendship? Hawk is his brother and everything in all respects, and he still betrayed him and stuff because he can't risk a whole nation, a whole kingdom, no matter how much he loves these two, right? And we already had that inner monologue and stuff like that about him near the beginning of this arc. But still, The fact is, he cannot do that. He knows this, but still, this is a little out of character. So when Yona asks that question, and he goes, he doesn't answer that, but he says, I'm thinking of making Yona the next ruler. If Yona didn't plan to come back here, I intended to give up on that, but she is coming back. She left you here after all, and she would never leave you. I mean, that logic makes sense. He says, if Yona becomes queen, we can't have the dragons disappear on her now. So, I just find it, like, has he truly given up? Like, he's sort of like, okay, he's already looking towards the, I might die any hour on the hour at this point. So we need to make sure that Yona is as happy and capable and with no distractions as possible. That she has all her friends around her, that she has all her support around her, and she will be ready to take over no matter when my life ends. That's a bit of a better explanation, but I did find this, I read this a couple of times, and okay, you can sort of get that from it, but it wasn't so straightforward, right? I was sort of like, okay, that took a total 180 turn from his, nope, I gotta do as much as possible, Yona needs you, okay. And it didn't even say, Yona needs your help. It's like, okay, Yona's gonna go find the dragon, she's off doing her own thing. Yeah, okay, I'm going to give up everything I just said. We better help Yona. Not that she asked for our help, not that we know what we're doing, but we're going to see, once again, that's a little, like, out of character for soo-won. Even though he's admitted to himself he can't see Yona and Hawk as pawns anymore. This is a little bit out of left field as far as I'm concerned. So that's why I'm like, okay, it makes sense that he'd be like, yeah, as he explains to Yona, I'm planning on making her the next ruler. And as it stands right now, she can't be the ruler. Like, right now, she needs the support of her Dragon Warriors. So if there's a chance we can go help her, and once again, I'm paraphrasing because he doesn't say all this. Part of my problem. But he wants to make sure he has, that Yona, as queen, has as much support, but also isn't distracted from running the kingdom due to the lack of support. He wants to make sure when he dies, he can die calmly, content, whatever, right? So I guess so, but once again, there's a little bit of reading between the lines for this one, and as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, it's this, but if they're to really disappear, it made me think that I should see what will come out of this. And then he even asks himself, so this is why I think that maybe I'm somewhat right, but I don't think he knows what he's doing right now, because then he even says, what am I doing? And he goes, I had even just said my goodbyes to Hawk, confirming what he said. Confirming basically what he said. I know it was a big mystery and all that stuff. There was no, once again, the hut conversation left so much to be desired. Probably the most cucked we as Yona fans have ever been in this series was that hut chapter, okay? That conversation had nothing to do with what we needed Hawk and soo-won to talk about. But the end part, if it was just goodbye Hawk, I mean, there was no reason to blur out what he said. It felt like it was a mystery, a little bit more so. So once again, you can have that, but at this point he confirms, I had even just said my goodbyes to Hawk. I would have preferred something more telling. Like, once again, we don't know exactly, because he said, I just said my goodbyes to Hawk. He doesn't say, I said these 3 words. He's saying, I had said goodbye in no uncertain terms. I still want to know exactly what he said, because if it was just goodbye Hawk, or was it, I'll be dead before we see each other again, goodbye Hawk, or something like a finality to it, because Hawk was shocked by his words, right? So, and was contemplating them after he left. So, I just said my goodbyes to Hawk. Once again, I really want to see exact words. What did he say? Because if it was just goodbye Hawk, I mean, that could be taken a million ways. Like, our conversation's over. Goodbye Hawk. Like, we might not talk again for a long ass time, right? So, but yeah, so I like the chapter fine enough. It's not a great chapter, but there is a little bit of questioning I have. Like, once again, this leaves more questions than answers. The whole Xeno requirement thing still kind of bugging me. but I am really curious as to, now that he's been rejected, which I knew was going to happen, because once again, these requirements or rules were so arbitrary and obviously made up with no source that, you know, it just made sense. What has happened to the actual 3 dragons in the mausoleum? That's what's concerning me. And also, Soo-won here making this decision. Does he know why he's doing it? Is he literally just doing it because he wants to, as I said, make sure that if he's going to die, that Yona is as loved and supported and everything to be the next ruler as possible? You know, or at this point, he's just being selfish. He's like, I'm really tired, and I'd like my last few. Because he even says, what am I doing? I had just even said my goodbyes to Hawk. As in, I'm choosing to go knowing they're heading there. Because maybe, like, I just feel like there could have been a couple more pages here. Like, another inner monologue where he's like, he's selfishly, he's like, logically, I need to keep going and stuff, and Yona will figure it out on her own. But I'd like, you know, now knowing that they've just lost a bunch of their companions, maybe forever, I want to go see them. I want to go comfort them. I want to see my friends one more time. You know what I mean? I needed something like that. Because it seems to me that's what he's doing. Like, he can make all the logical reasons in the world, like, oh, I need this for Yona to be queen. I need X to save Coca Kingdom. I need Y for this. But at the end of the day, it seems like he's even questioning his own motives at this point, at the last page. And it just means that he's like, with another opportunity to go see Hawk and Yona, he's going to go take it. Right? To help them, to see them again. You know, once again, it's a lot of reading between the lines with this last scene, with the second half of the chapter. So, but what did you guys take from it? Once again, sorry how late this is. As I said, this is one of those things. I thought I had done it, I didn't do it, and then after I got off work, as you guys can tell from work shirt, hair, you know, all over the place and stuff, I just, you know, I said, oh shit, well, maybe I should do that. So, anyways, that's it for me. I know it was a longer review, but I really wanted to cover the Zeno stuff, especially, and all that. And usually these reviews are at least 25 minutes long, so I hope I didn't go too far over. Looks like about half an hour or so, so not too bad, especially for a monthly chapter review. So, anyways, chapter 256 of Akatsuki no Yona. We will see you guys back here next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good weekend. See you back here next time. Sayonara.